Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Health Bar. Welcome back. I really appreciate everyone being here today to listen, to watch. I appreciate it. It's been a roller coaster for season 2 so far, which has been great. We have a guest on today who has been on season 1, which is really good, so we can get to see, what's going on in their lives from last time we spoke, which is always nice. But as always, I start the podcast off with my own mental health. At the moment, pretty good. Last week was a little bit up and down, I'm not gonna lie, and the week before always kind of a little bit tough. But we are slowly getting to somewhere where I feel we are okay. I use that word a lot. I think okay, because it's never gonna be, well, I don't say ever, going to be amazing and perfect. But at the moment, it's okay, which is nice. Very weird saying it's okay and that's nice. But, for people that are going through stuff, it makes sense. It does make sense. And that's about it, really. We're just going to jump straight in and bring our guest on, which I'm super excited as always. So our guest, as I mentioned, she has been on season 1. We had a great chat and also a chat with her other half as well. She is part of the Shooty Loots, which have just, we'll talk about it later, but they've just grown. It's been amazing to watch their growth and everything, and it's really cool. So but let's introduce, so first of all, let's introduce Katie. How are we?
Hi. It's good to talk to you. It's been a hot minute since we've talked.
I know it's been a while, right?
Right, it has been. It's just been a busy year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm Katie. I'm one half of the Shooty Loots. We mostly play Tarkov and other first-person shooters. It's mostly Tarkov, even though Tarkov's duty right now.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I've been streaming just over a year now, which is wild. That it's been that long, even. But yeah, that's kind of just a little bit about me. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. We can dive right in. You know what I mean? Like,
I know it's crazy. We literally just before I obviously started the podcast, we were having a little chat about the things that kind of had gone on and are going on, and it's been mad. And I still can't believe you've been streaming for a year. That's madness.
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think that we hit our stream anniversary, our 1-year anniversary, and that was fantastic, right? We had a bunch of people come out. We did a subathon deal where we just kind of hung out with everybody for 24 hours just cuz. And yeah, it was phenomenal. But so many things that are just like unanticipated, unexpected, couldn't prepare you for, right? When you start this journey, it just kind of blindsides you over the way. So yeah, to be a year and a half and to have not quit and to have the growth that we have, I got some pride there. You know what I mean?
100%. 100. So as Katie said before, she's part of a duo, her and her husband. They stream Escape from Tarkov. They're streaming other things as well with community games, which is amazing.
And it's all Zane, by the way. Like I just sit here, like he does all of it for the most part. I sit here and I play my games and I try to be funny, and that's my that's my contribution to the stream.
But
you know
I mentioned this in the first podcast, and I think just the whole idea and the whole of couples streaming, like, I just think it's brilliant. Like, and also as well, I love the fact that you're not always on together as well. So Zane has still his own separate streams. You sometimes still have your own separate stream, which is just amazing. It's so good that, and I love it. I love the fact that is, and obviously we've seen proof in the pudding, as you said, the stream and the content's going really well for you guys.
Yeah, and that's actually something that just kind of came naturally, as we were streaming and things like that. There was a strain, right, on like, oh man, I don't get to play single player games anymore, or like that feeling of I can't play games for me anymore. I have to be on stream to play video games. I don't know if you get that.
Yes.
But I started to get that feeling like, oh man, I can't play video games unless I'm on stream, and I don't want to be on stream all the time, right? It's fatiguing. And so that's where we kind of started to do those. Well, what if we did like solo days? You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's, you could play whatever game you want. It can or cannot be on stream. You know what I mean? Just to kind of create some relaxed vibe to it so
yeah,
that it didn't feel like a second job. You know what I mean?
100%.
Video games are supposed to be fun.
Exactly. And that's really interesting you bring that up, because I've actually changed my schedule very slightly for that reason. Like, everyone knows that I stream for the people. Like, I love to stream because I love to talk. I talk. That is my favorite part of streaming, is coming on and talking to people, talking to randoms, whatever. And the game is kind of second for me. But as we all know, we mentioned it before, Tarkov has just been rough, and I don't know why. But I've really lost the love of Tarkov, and that for me is hard. Like, because I'm what, 8 wipes in, maybe something like that. Like, for me, it's been really tough to lose love for that game. But on another note, a positive side of that, I've then decided to start doing a lot more survival games, as in Raft and Grounded. I've just started Subnautica, and them type of games, and I absolutely love them. Like, I've fallen in love with these survivors, so I've decided to. My whole YouTube channel now has changed, and it is just survival games, and I live stream on there on a Friday. That's it. But it's getting the love back of the game, which is really weird, because, like you said, you do feel a pressure of, just playing because of the fact you're streaming and not physically enjoying the game anymore, where you could just sit down and relax and play a game like we used to. It's, as you said, it kind of feels like a second job. So,
Right.
yeah,
Especially if you don't enjoy the game, like that makes it even worse.
exactly.
Right, there's this expectation to be playing a certain game, especially if you've built a community around that.
Yes.
And then not enjoying the game, it's, it doesn't help anybody, really.
Mhm.
You're in a bad mood, so you're not bringing in new people.
Yes.
The people that have been around you and stood by you, some of them will, kind of go and do their own thing because they
Yep.
can tell you're not in a good mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's just kind of, it hurts all around. You know what I mean? You're not enjoying playing the game. The growth of your streams struggles, right?
Yeah.
It just, you end up in this cycle where you don't quite know what to do, because if you switch games, you're going to lose growth too. So it's, you don't know what to
100%.
do. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
kind of just, sometimes you struggle through it, and sometimes you get fed up and you go, you know what, screw it, I'm playing DayZ today, or what is the other one we played? 7 Days to Die. That was one that we switched to.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you are
Yeah.
right, and it is that whole thing of trying to balance. And I always remember this. So my mate Last Marauder, who is a YouTube partner, he basically, all his content is Harry Potter. And that's the films, that was all the films, all the new movies, etc. was all the things. And it was great. The game came out and he started doing the game, which is awesome. But then he always said he kind of started falling out of love with the games. And because, again, that was his content. So if that was your content all the time, then all of a sudden you're like, I don't really want to play it, even though it was now his passion's then turned into a job, which then is losing a passion. So it's really, it's super hard. And I always think that a lot of people don't understand how hard, and especially I think for full-time gamers as well, that's got to be rough, because if you want to change a game because you're like, not having fun on it anymore or anything like that, as you mentioned, people could lose half their community, which for people that are full-time streamers, that could be see you later. That could be subs gone, everything, and game done.
Yeah. I mean, they literally don't have the flexibility to do that. And I am fully aware of how lucky I am, honestly, to have a second income, to not have to rely on Twitch, right, as my sole income. Because you're right, those full-time streamers, they don't have the ability to say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to play something else today, as frivolously as we can, just because they can, and a lot of times do. lose half their community, and
Yeah.
that's your paycheck, that's your livelihood,
Exactly.
and that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it gets even wild when you start to think about the relationship between these streamers and the dev communities, and you would think, right, that they would hold that part in their hearts, and I basically hold these people's livelihoods in my hand. Maybe I should do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's where people get really, really disheartened and frustrated.
Yes.
Because they've literally put all of their eggs, their financial stability in this basket, and you're going, we're trying.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Barely.
Yeah.
Barely. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I totally get that. Cool. So that's kind of obviously who you are, and obviously what games you play, and obviously Dane, etc.
Sorry.
No.
ADHD
I
too.
mean, I love it. This is the whole thing of the podcast. I love just chatting, and it's great. And we haven't caught up for so long, so it's just nice to have a bit of a chat,
Yeah.
With regards to obviously mental health with yourself, obviously, what's been kind of going on since last time we spoke? Anything new, good, bad, the ugly, all of it? Kind of where do you want to kick off, I suppose?
Yeah, no, I can dive right into that. It's quite a lot, honestly. When we last spoke, we talked a lot about what got me into gaming, right? And it's that
Yes.
escapism.
Yep.
Right? Just from traumas and things like that happened to us. We find gaming as an escape, right? And whether that's good or bad in certain scenarios, it just kind of depends on moderation, right? And so adding streaming into our lives, it definitely created another stressor, right? It created a passion, but it also created a stressor. And so I wasn't in therapy when we last spoke.
Yep.
I am now.
Okay.
I mean, I see a therapist at least once a month, sometimes more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's helped tremendously with juggling that overwhelming sense of anxiety that I get, right? Because I have generalized anxiety disorder and a panic disorder.
Yeah.
And so being on camera doesn't help that
Yeah.
at all. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so, you'll see, and I'm sure you've noticed, right? Zane's capacity and endurance to be on camera, it's a lot higher than mine. There'll be time where I'm like, okay, bye. You know what I mean? I'm going to go eat, and then I just don't ever come back. And everyone's like, where'd Katie go? And I'm like, I'm in chat.
Yeah,
What's up?
exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I probably won't be back on camera. Sorry. And it's just, I didn't anticipate that. Like, I knew I had social anxiety and things like that. I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Yep.
And it was very hard. And so yeah, I'm in therapy. We talk about a lot of different things, and there's the things that you don't think about with a Twitch community that come into play. Like we talked about this a little bit at the start. You have these people that come in at the start and they help with the growth and even contribute financially to your success.
Yes.
And then turns out that, maybe they're not the best human, and you find out that, you can't have them in your community for the safety of your community.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you have to make that decision to ban someone and to no longer speak to them. And this is someone that, that helped you and that you empathize with, right? Because not so much empathize with what they've done wrong, obviously not, but just empathize with the fact that like you've now have to cut this relationship off with this person, and that's most likely going to hurt them, right? But it is 100% necessary because the safety of my community is the most important thing to me. I cannot and will not let someone that is going to endanger them be around.
100%.
I can't do that.
100%. And
right?
you are. We talked about this at the beginning a little bit, like off the podcast, and it's weird because it seems like that's happened not a lot, because I think with both, as in with our community as well as in It's Only Pixels and obviously yourselves, it's we've both had to deal with a very similar situation, and it was kind of frustrating because the one that obviously we found out about, we then had to tell you because that person was in your community, which was the hardest thing ever, because you don't want people got to make their own minds up,
right?
But you have to look after your community, and if that person is in another community, you kind of have to let them know, and that was so hard. Literally letting you guys know, going, look, this has happened. Obviously, it's up to you what you do with it, but this is what we've done, and it's just awful, and it's so hard. And the person that we're talking about from our community, from It's Only Pixels, I mean, I've known for such a long time, like through the gaming community, and that for me was super hard. Such a low moment for me was just,
It's not an easy decision to make, right? And there are actual tears shed over it. You're sad that this come to this, but it has to happen. And unfortunately, we had it happen twice last year. Very, very similar situations, right? Where we had a community reach out to us and say, hey, this person that we've noticed is also a part of your community has caused harm to others, and this is how and what happened. And again, obviously it's up to you what you do with this information, but I felt the need to share this information with you. Right. And then Zane and I we're not going to endanger our community like that.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no point where we're going to get some information like that and sit on it and do nothing. That's not who we are, and that's not the environment that I want to cultivate.
And you are right, and it is funny because it's weird saying all this, because it shows you kind of how much we've grown, as in kind of community wise, because we are looking after the mass of people and not just like individuals. Yes, obviously we're looking after individuals, but to get rid of this one person or two people or three people or whatever it has to be, you are now, and it's really weird that because we talked about this the other day, because obviously for us, IOP is six founders. So we obviously always try and talk together and say, right, these are the decisions that we're doing. We want this to happen or that to happen, or should we do this and that and that? And all of us, it's literally like, it's the same with yourself. In a way, I'm kind of glad that we do have the six, because we can bounce off each other with what we feel is right and wrong, and etc. And I guess the same with you and Zane. It's great if I had my own Discord with only a couple of mods that because mods are mods. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, and it's sometimes quite difficult. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think you're seeing it as well. Is that you're seeing people that are in your community that are now, they still play with you guys when they can on community days, but they are playing with each other now, which is the most amazing thing. I know, right? It's crazy that we, like the same with you, we've built these communities and people are now playing with each other through these communities and growing, and I love it. Like, it makes me feel so good, and I think you guys must be the same.
Yeah, no, I think Zane and I both did like a little jig the first time we saw somebody in our little L4G, looking for group chat, just chilling in there and voice chat, and somebody else hopped in with them, and we were like, what? Like, we didn't do that. We didn't facilitate that. They just did that. It was so cool. We were ecstatic, over the moon about that, because I mean, you're right. That's like a milestone in your community, right? Is I'm no longer like the sole facilitator. Not everything has to go through me. We've built this environment in this space where people just want to hang out and talk to each other. Yeah. And that is humbling and bizarre. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
I know, right? It does. It is very weird, but yeah.
Right. But yeah, you want to protect it. You know what I mean? Like, you get protective over it. You're like, no, I'm not going to let somebody come in here and say some dumb shit and mess it up. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Exactly. We had it actually very recently as well. As in this weekend, just gone. And it was someone who came in from, it's always annoying because it came in from my stream. And it was a YouTube one, and it came in from my stream, and they're absolutely fine on YouTube. It was absolutely fine. Came into the community, like, obviously was just chatting away. Nice, fine. And then randomly started ringing someone from our community, but constantly. Like, just constantly ringing, and then putting voice changes on and all this kind of weird stuff. And like, so we're like, look, I'm sorry, like, but don't do it. Carried on doing it. Right, well, you're gone. See you later. Came into my stream at the weekend, was kind of like, why did I get? And I said, I'll tell you at the end of the stream. I'm not going to tell you on a stream. I'll message you. It's fine. Then obviously get all the harassing messages on on stream, and then obviously timing them out, and then coming back, and then them doing it again, and then banning them, and then messaging me privately, then adding another username and coming back in, and I was like, for God's sake, man, like, come on, like. But realistically, this person has to be like probably a young age, and doesn't know anything and just wants to, and it was just like, come on, like, and that's really hard because, and it was actually quite hard for me because of the fact that it came via me, and obviously I didn't obviously say, oh, come and mess around with us, it's like, but it always feels bad for me when it come from my stream or,
Right,
or my content.
responsible.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're harassing my mods and, my community, and I was like, this is awful. And, again, we dealt with it really quick, got rid of them, and we haven't heard from them for the last few days, so that's good. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Job done. But yeah, it's hard.
It's a lot of effort to go through and make multiple accounts to continue
I
to do
know,
that. It's
right?
wild.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Wild.
And, so yeah, it is. And I know exactly what you mean. You want to look after your community, but also as well, that can be, and I don't think a lot of people understand how stressful a Discord community can be.
There's a lot you don't think about.
Yeah.
It really, really is, right? Like,
Yeah.
we've gone and we made templates for our Discord, right? Because we have it locked down. Zane's a security engineer,
Yes.
so he's very good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
And so our Discord has a lot of roles, permissions, and things like that. And we've actually had a couple of bots that have, we've noticed come in
Yeah.
and immediately leave because they can't get the permissions that they need to spam, the messages, and so
Yeah.
they're just like, all right, not worth it, and they leave. And so it's things like that you just don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like constant audio issues, right? I can't tell you how many audio issues that we've had. I'm so sick of hearing audio issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's,
Yep.
it's like every stream I sit down and someone's like, Katie's audio is messed up, and I swear you could see it in my face. I'm just like, I just
Yes.
just make it work. I don't know how, but just make it work. You know what I mean? It's
100%.
just there's
Yeah.
just a lot to it. And then, I mean, one of the things that I'm incredibly grateful for that I've noticed is the buffer and the insulation that Zane gives me as a woman in Twitch. Holy cannoli Batman. I cannot I wouldn't be on Twitch still if I wasn't with Zane as an insulation. There's no way I could deal with all that crap. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I see a sliver of it, just the surface of it, like I said, because I'm
know.
insulated from it because
Yep.
of Zane. But that protective part of me comes out too. I see
Yeah.
these behaviors in other people's chats, and I just like I want to message their mods and be like, "Yo, you need to do a better
Sort
job
this,
at
yeah, sort
protecting
this
your,
out.
your streamer here because like this is ridiculous that you let somebody speak to them that way."
Yeah. It is, and you say as a woman, like it's crazy. And I had Mrs. Bunn on the stream, or on the podcast last time, and she was talking about it. And it is, we were in, and it wasn't me. It was, so I've been in the game with her before, and someone's gone onto the chat, not actually spoke out loud, onto the chat on Call of Duty, and just Mrs. Bunn, like straight away, like Mrs. Blah blah blah, started to obviously harassing and talking. It's like, and I don't know why I can't get it round my head why people would do this. I seriously cannot get it in my head why people are so toxic to female like streamers and gamers, even female gamers. Like it is the most ridiculous thing in the world. And like this is a big reason why Mrs. Bunn doesn't go on camera, because, for the first thing, and it is true, and she said this, the first thing that people will look to do if they're coming in to have a row or whatever and they want to be toxic straight away, they'll go after your looks or they'll go after something that they can physically see. And
100%.
And even if you were the toughest person in the world with the toughest skin and blah, 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 that's still going to seep in at some point. It will. And as you say, you've got Zane as this amazing kind of buffer, and this is what and again, as a community, and it's exactly the same as yours, you always try and then go, right, if anyone does have any issues or anything like that, come to us. We've got mods, we've got whatever, we've got, as you say, you've got templates for Discord to stop this happening to other people, and which is friggin' amazing. And yeah, but again, it's just, I just can't get my head around people doing it. I it throws me.
Well, what's really interesting to me is I'll call it the victim dichotomy that they'll then play, right? Because women talk, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna tell you that right now. If you don't think that women communicate, especially in tight knit communities like this, you're being very naive. We talk, like we know what you said, we know when you say it, and don't the victim of they ganged up on me, I got friends, like all that crap is so amazing to me. How quickly you can go from aggressive to straight up like violent to playing the victim. Like mind blowing to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's these things that I didn't think about, and I'm honestly mostly insulated from. It still affects me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't imagine streamers like Miss Bun, Nixia, these women that are constantly in front of an audience and have to deal with things like that. Like kudos to you guys. Like seriously, you're my heroes, because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's rough, and it really is, and 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 the hardest thing is most of the women that have ever come on to the podcast that I spoke to, they've all said the same, and it's actually kind of really hard because I want to obviously reach out to, and this is really hard. So I want to reach out to females to ask them to come onto the podcast, talk about kind of the shit that they have to go through, and all of that kind of stuff. But I can never, ever, ever get in touch with them because either their emails like don't work or they're full of shit from people obviously abusing them. They don't then DMs, they don't have open DMs because they have to be friends with you first. If you then go and ask them can we be friends first, they're like, well, why am I going to be a friend with you? Because I don't even know you. Like, and it is so hard, and I understand why they do it. But for me, I really want to kind of open up and get their stories told so more people can then be open and, talk about it, and it, be out there more so people know what to do if anything happens. But then you can't because they're obviously worried that things are going to happen. So it's just so shit. So shit.
It's not fun. You've either constantly, you have to play the, like, everybody can message me and like I'll filter it out and kind of laissez-faire, or you've got to be like hardcore, like nobody's allowed to message me, like I'll give you permission to do it type deal. Like I've seen both sides of it, and it's always up to the person. Like if you're 100% comfortable and like know that you're going to be able to put your foot down as soon as you feel uncomfortable and put somebody in their place, then by all means do it. But if you're not and you need somebody, like you want your mod or somebody to step in for you, you got to tell them, dude. You have got to let your mods know, hey, these are the type of comments that make me uncomfortable. If you can tell them, time them out, warn them, whatever, right? That's what they're there for, right?
Exactly.
And I promise you there's somebody out there that wants to do that for you and wants to protect you, right? If you're a non-confrontational person, because I'm kind of that way. Like I'm not, I wouldn't say non-confrontational. Like I'll be like, yo, that's inappropriate, don't say that type deal when I'm really, really uncomfortable. But some of the, like, I'll say subtleties, right? I'll let slide because I've got a crass humor. And a lot of times, and I'm sure other women feel this way, it almost feels like you have to be okay with it, right? Because I'm crass, right? I've opened the door, right, for someone to say that to me, and so that's on me. Right, which is a fucked way of thinking, right? That's so fucked that I even have that thought that, because I'm crass, it's okay for somebody else to talk to me like that.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
It's not okay.
No,
but we get that thought of like, oh, it's my fault, right?
But it's really hard, isn't it? And this is the thing, because it's one of the things you can't just go and ban everyone. Well, you can, but you can't just like. And this is why sometimes in my head, I have like a free person strikeout, I have like a free things that they do, and you're gone type of thing, or free things and then I'm warning you, and if you do it again you're gone. That's it, because I'm similar to you. Like I the same, take the piss and whatever, and all that type of stuff. And sometimes obviously taking the piss is absolutely fine, but then also as well, it depends on the mood that someone's in, or depending on how they're feeling or whatever, they could take that the wrong way. And, it's the same with me personally. That's why it's always, from my head, I'm like, right, if someone does it 3 times, or if someone does something or the constant thing, and I'm like, look, don't do that. I've had enough today, or whatever it is, and I say it, or a mod says it. Then if they do it again, then bosh, I'm done. Like, that's it. I can't deal with you, and
Yeah.
And I think that's the way you got to look at it. But you are right. You can't. It's not right because you're blaming yourself for something, but then it's really hard because you are. And this is another thing. We are streamers, and people say, "Well, you open yourself up to be targeted," and it's like, fucking hell, no, that's not what we're doing. But
I still have boundaries, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I'm still a human being.
exactly. And yeah, that's rough. That is rough.
Yeah, like it's one of those things, like, you would never come up to me on the street and say something like that.
Yeah,
Why do you think it's okay for you to say it here?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's always so bizarre, you know what I mean? You can always tell when it comes out of place, right? Like, you'll be having some banter with a friend, right? You're joking and things like that. And then it'll be, somebody that's unfortunately brand new to your community, right? That is either trying to fit in or trying to go with the flow, whatever it may be, and will just make that one inappropriate comment. And you're just like, oh, hey, not quite the vibe, at least not yet with you. You know what I mean? I don't know who you are. Like, you can't say that to me yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know all of these people. We've had a rapport. We've talked. Some of them I even know in real life.
Yeah.
And for you to just come in as a stranger and just say some stuff like that to me it's really off-putting. And like I said, it's something that seems to happen a lot here.
Yeah.
And that's a big one for me. It gives me that, like, empathetic, like, protect, right? Like, I have a lot of, like, other women streamers that I'm in their chat and stuff like that, and I'll see that and I'll have to, like, stop myself from saying something, right? Because I know that they can take care of themselves, right? Like, and I don't want to come across as like, oh, I'm trying to, like, step in for you. Like, they can take care of themselves, and I fully know that. But I have that part of me that's like,
100%. Yeah.
I don't like. I just want to come in and tell this person to stop it.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. 100%. 100%. And that's I don't know. Like, for women gamers, streamers, like, it's a different world, and I can't get my head around it. Like, so I don't know how you guys can. Like, it's just it's one of them. Going back to kind of therapy, you're saying you go now once a month to twice a month. It's really interesting because I love everyone's different perspective on therapy. And as you say, at the moment, yours is really helpful.
Fantastic. A lot of it will depend on yourself. I know that sucks to say, right? But you kind of have to be open to the process, right? I mean, I've been in and out of therapy since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that now at 30 is the most progress that I've ever made in my life. And it's a lot of things. I trust my therapist and I actually vibe well with her, which is a big thing, right? That's something that I've never really had before. So that makes it feel like I can be open and myself to this person, right? Without having to hide pieces of me for fear of judgment or hospitalization or whatever else may come my way. So I mean, that was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And another part of it is honestly I would say your therapist's ability to judge you, if that, not judge you, but to, what's the right word? Read you.
Read. Yeah.
Right, because I hide stuff. I like to bottle stuff up. You know what I mean? And so, like, my therapist, she'll come out and she'll look at me and she'll be like, "There's more to it."
Yeah.
Right, and she'll say that and she'll just be quiet and she'll wait for a second. All right, and you just have to sit with that, and you're like, there's more to it. I just don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't want to admit it. Damn it. And that's a big part of it, right? Because a lot of people, and myself included, I did this all the time, and I still do this to her sometimes, and she'll call me out for it. You'll come in and you'll talk about your day, like you're chatting with a friend, right? You're catching up over lunch on your work day. You know what I mean? Talking about the things that are frustrating you at work that day. And while yes, that's good, right? It's relaxing and it can help just be a stress reliever. that's not necessarily what therapy is for, right?
Yes.
It's a time to reflect and to look on things that have caused you pain, honestly, caused you trauma, right? Why are you responding to certain stresses and stimuluses the way you are, right?
Yeah.
Like those types of answers are very important to me, right? Because I've got ADHD, you know what I mean? I know that for a fact, you know.
Yeah.
And with ADHD sometimes comes autism
Yeah.
symptoms as well. And so like I get auditory overstimulated, I get overstimulated by touch sometimes, like so many things that I just have never realized why
Yeah.
I do this, or even that it may be abnormal. It's just something that I've always done, right? A lot of things have started to click for me as to why my behaviors are the way that they are. And on top of that, how to manage those overwhelming feelings,
Yeah.
right? You know, there's a bunch of acronyms, right? But you've got, you know, your CBT and your DBT skills, right?
Yeah.
And these are things to help you realize when you're having negative thoughts or intrusive thoughts, and use logic to correct them, right? And have the correct thoughts, and we'll say accurate thoughts, right?
Yep.
Because a lot of times our brain tries to lie to us and tell us
Yeah.
things that aren't
Yeah.
true, right? You have to stop
Definitely.
yourself and go, you know what, that's just not true.
Yeah.
Here's the accurate statement, right?
Yeah.
And rephrase it, right? And that's CBT. And then there, you know, you've got DBT skills, which is a little bit more on, it's like grounding yourself, right? When you're feeling overwhelmed, right? And so like when you're overstimulated, when you're angry, when you're upset, right? When you just like nothing is getting through to you, like the skills to bring you back down to station, right?
Yeah.
It's just, this is a very small piece of it. I'm not a therapist,
Yeah.
so please nobody be like, Caitlin taught me how
Oh, she
these
said
skills
this.
work. And she said, like, please, no, I have zero credentials. I've just been in therapy my whole life. For the love of God, don't don't take it that way. But like, there these things that I've been
Yeah.
learning, and they've been helping, right? You know, we talked a little bit about why I got into gaming in the first place, and it was around when my mom died, right? And that was when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she actually died on May 14th, which was Mother's Day this year.
Oh, jeez, it was
so hard when that happens. It's so hard. But I will say that thanks to therapy and some encouragement from my loved ones in my life, right, have taken steps to talk to my dad and kind of alleviate some stress that I've been feeling over grief for my mom, and you know, some like our house and things like that in Georgia where I grew up. There's just been some tension that we've had that I've been sitting on for years since before we even started streaming. That I finally talked to him about this weekend, and I cannot tell you the relief that I felt yesterday. Like, I actually slept. I was in such a good mood yesterday and today. Even I'm in a great mood today. I'm just kind of a little emotional right now.
Yeah.
But like, it was weightlifting.
Yeah.
Honestly, to finally have that conversation, and I never would have done it had I not taken the steps to go to therapy and to talk through these things of, you know, what's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah.
And I've been through worse than that. You know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna catastrophize, right? If we're gonna sit there and be anxious about it, right? And we come up with the worst case scenario, and I've been through worse than that worst case scenario and come out the other end just fine, then why are we stressed? Why are we worried?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's really interesting you saying, you know, all of that, and it really is. And this is a big thing. Finding the right therapist for you is such a big thing, because so many people just go to a therapist and think, oh, this is it. You know,
right. Therapy is not universal.
Exactly. And everyone is different. And you are right. You have to click with the person. And it's quite funny because you said, like, you know, you go in and talk to the person, obviously, and, you know, oh, my day today was this and this and this. One therapist that I had, that's all I ever did. Like, nothing else. I would literally say, oh, I did this week and blah, 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 blah. And that was it. And they never really kind of delved into anything of why I then was having kind of, you know, my panic attacks, and then why I was not getting out of bed like some days, and why, and it never really came to anything. But then another one actually delved into loads and pulled loads of stuff out and was like, right, why do you think you're feeling like this? You know, what do you think is making you feel like this, and etc. And was just and it is totally different. And I would say therapy wasn't the best thing for me, but it got me talking. And then it got me talking to my family, my friends, people that then helped me, So for me, that was the right step. And I think therapy is definitely, I think everyone has to do it, but then it's not for everyone, if that makes sense,
100%. It's a stepping stone. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And honestly, to hear that has helped you so much, and for this weekend just gone has been like such a positive. That's just amazing. Like, so amazing. Yeah. It's so good.
It's been great for me.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not for everybody,
mm-hmm.
and the timing may not be right. You know what I mean?
Like 100%.
Like I said, I've been trying since I was 10 years old. I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, life is all about timing. And sometimes it's not the right time for you to try that solution, and it's not the right person.
Yeah.
Give up. Like, especially don't give up on yourself. You know what I mean? Because like, ultimately that's what you'd be doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's really, really important to recognize that your brain is very, very powerful and is so mean to you if you let it be. Like, unbelievably mean.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've had words like major depression disorder and things like that thrown out, and I try to water that off the bat, right, and just wake up the next day and not think about that, right? You know what I mean? Like, yes, I have depression. Yes, I have anxiety. You know what I mean? Yes, I have ADHD. These are things that don't have to define me if I don't let them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had a good friend of mine, tell me, just live the life that you want to. It's not that easy, but it is, right? Like, I don't want to sleep all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not what I want to do. So why am I doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it is true. You do. And I know we're saying this, and sometimes this is hard for people to hear that are going through the worst time. Like, it is really hard. Like, and you don't think it's real, but it really is. Like, there is always a way to, train your brain, train yourself to do something, to get out of bed. Like, and I spoke about this a couple of times, and there's sometimes I used to write a diary, and it sounds stupid, but I used to draw. So I used to draw my diary. So it would be like Monday, and it'd be scribbled, and then I'd do like a picture of a shower head, like a proper little doodle shower head. And then, it would obviously say shower. And then once I'd done it, I'd tick it, and it would say breakfast, and it said make bread, like make your bed, and then get picture of clothes. So I actually physically got dressed. And, for me, that helped loads, absolutely loads. And there's little things like that. And when you're going through the shittest time, it's not little things. They are the biggest things ever, but there are ways of doing it. And, it's this whole fight and flight thing as well, of the whole idea that your brain saying, oh my God, this is really scary, run away. Like, let's just get out of here. And, yes, obviously it's trying to protect you, but it's actually trying to protect you from nothing. There are some situations, like, when you're starting to have a panic attack, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. And then your brain's like, you're having a heart attack. You need to collapse. You need to you're going to die. And, and it is horrible, but then you're having a panic attack. So, it's, there's all these things, but then loads of things you can do, from meditation, like CBT, all these type of stuff, from mindfulness, from loads and loads of different things. And again, it is that thing of trying to find what works for you. And as Katie said, it's taken her 20 years, to actually find something that is now working and doing more.
Yeah. I have tried almost every antidepressant under the sun, besides I think Wellbutrin is finally the one where I was like, you know what, I'm done. That was the last one that was trying to be prescribed to me, and I finally said, they don't work for me. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. And so, medication works for you. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Find what works for you.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's great, even, right? But I encourage you to go find it, because Like it'll save your life. You know, when you're struggling, it will save your life. Like I have panic disorders, I have depression, I have anxiety. It's all hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't regret at all going to see my therapist. It's been very, very good for me. And Zane all the time. If something's bothering me and he knows I haven't seen her for a while, maybe you should text your therapist. You know what I mean? Like, very supportive of it. And that's important too, right? I don't feel like I'm the problem or anything like that. It's just, I have his support.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. And yeah, fair, it is. You are right. And I'm on medication, and I have to put my medication up and down like quite a bit, like now and again, and it's quite hard. And so again, but that works. Well, I think it works for me. I don't know. We don't really know, I suppose. But at the moment, I'm in an okay place. And then fidget toys are still a massive thing for me.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like it.
Like the
Yeah.
little
There you go.
pallets.
Exactly. It's such a big thing just to have something to just, and I think that's another reason probably why I have my phone in my hand quite a lot if I don't have anything with me, because it's that whole thing of like that whole, I think I've got ADHD tendencies, like, and I don't know if I probably got tested, I probably would say I've got it, but I've never had anything like that. But it's that whole thing of, the familiarity of stuff, of like watching the same film over and over again, or scrolling, because it's just it's a fidget thing, but it's also like a familiarity thing of you're just going to flick through stuff because you feel safe doing it. Or it sounds really stupid saying that, but I think people that again go through stuff and have ADHD and other things like that, they're obviously it's a similar thing that we do, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I have the same shows on repeat,
Mhm.
like all the time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's something for me to fidget with at literally every desk,
Yeah.
sitting place in my house, right? And I'll sit down and I pick something up, and there's something in my hand that I'm playing with.
Yeah.
It's just kind of who I am. You know what I mean? I make weird noises sometimes. That's always fun. My mic doesn't pick them up on stream, which is sometimes good, sometimes not. Because like I'll make a weird face and people are like, "What the heck?" And Zane will hear it and he'll laugh and he'll be like, "Chat didn't hear it." And I'll be like, "Oh, you guys, like, it's okay. Like, you don't quite know how weird I am, but it's fine." You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
But it's great. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I'm feeling more comfortable in my own skin, just like I said,
So that's
knowing
amazing.
that it's not anything's wrong. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so now I do. And it's made it easier to talk about it. It's made it easier to explain. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been one of those people that needs to know why. Right.
Yeah,
Like if I
yeah.
know why, like everything in the world is good. Like I understand why. So
Yeah.
like we're kosher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I don't understand why though, I'd freak out. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me why.
It's true, but that's amazing that you are feeling that way. Is honestly, it's amazing, and that's the thing, isn't it? Of, we always say this: people, when they're going through depression, anxiety, any mental health issues, a lot of the time you feel like you're alone, and you really, really aren't. And I had a lovely chat and a great podcast with a guy called Pac Sam, who was a few weeks ago. And he saw one of the podcasts and got in contact and said, "I can't believe how much like I related to you." And it was me and Human Shields who were chatting on the podcast. And he goes, "I can't believe that you guys like opened up and said that you don't like leaving the house, and you're very anxious when you leave the house and blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "I feel exactly the same and I want to now talk about it." And I was like, you're not alone. Like, seriously, you are definitely not alone. Even though you feel at your lowest point, you are not alone. People are going through this, and people have beaten this, and people are in, as you just said then, you are now happy in your skin. What's going on, with your chemical imbalance or whatever you want to call it. It's right. Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's more than that, it's my sexuality, it's my me as a person, there's so many things that I've gotten to talk to my therapist to really just come to terms with accepting that it's okay
Yeah.
that I don't follow a lot of societal norms, right? I'm queer, neurodivergent, and just abnormal all around, and that's okay. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it does make it hard for me to go outside. Not gonna lie to you, I do get terrified in social situations where there's strangers and stuff about
Hmm.
because I don't want to be thought of as the weirdo. Like I like people, you know what I mean? I like talking to people. I want people to like being around me and I like making people laugh. And so, when I'm thought of as the weirdo, it hurts.
Yeah.
And I know it's not possible for everybody to like you all the time, not everybody does and I still have to be like, "Oh yeah, you're an adult. Not everyone's going to like you. It's fine." You have to remind yourself of that. And I just, sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's easier.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh, I could keep talking. I've been through so much in the last year. I was in the hospital from like January to April with kidney stones. In and out.
Jeez.
Had to have 2 of them removed, whole 9 yards, and was really, really
God.
depressed during that
Yeah.
time. Like super depressed. Like, ugh,
Yep.
not getting out of bed, just sleeping all day. Really, really bad place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then talk to my therapist. Remind myself that like major health event, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't
Oh
mean
my
that I'm
God. Yeah.
weak or that I did anything wrong or it's not a setback by any means. It's just life happened, right?
Yes.
And I got through it, right? I got through it. Here I am on the other side. I'm fine, right? I'm
Yeah.
strong. I'm healthy, right? There's no lasting effects or anything like that, but it still doesn't change the fact that for a minute there I was in a very bad place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's the ups and downs, right? And you have to keep fighting. You are not alone.
Yeah. That's with them ups and downs though and you have to remember that everything isn't always going to be on a high, and you have to have these lows sometimes to realize the good that can come out of them. And it sounds really weird saying stuff like that, but some of the bad parts of my life, like I've had amazing things happen because of it, but you don't see it at the time. And that's a real.
It's interesting you say that too, because like there's the anxiety when you're on the high,
Yeah.
right? Because of the peaks and valleys. Like I know I get that way. Like
Yeah.
when I'm in a really good mood and like things seem to be going right, for a couple days straight, I have that thought comes in of like, okay, where's the drop?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it can't be high all the time. Like
Yeah.
that's just not how life works. So
Yeah.
where's the drop? And then I get really anxious and really depressed
Yeah.
because I'm anticipating the drop.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
I create it
Yeah.
myself
Yeah,
just
definitely.
by thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because like here I am, happy go lucky, and I've just
Yeah.
that's always how it's been. That's been the pattern my whole life. You're good, then you're not.
Yeah.
And so I can't help myself, and you have to stop yourself from thinking that way because
Yeah.
you will create it. You'll create the drop, which is exactly what I've done.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying not to do right now, right? I'm in a really good mood, right? Like I've been in a great mood for the past couple days, right?
Yeah.
Like if the drop doesn't have to come if I don't create it, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
exactly.
just
And
live my life.
and this is the thing as well. Sometimes this is the thing. Sometimes there's drops that they are so like shallow that you'll never know there are drops, so it actually doesn't matter. And that's the thing. And as you saying, you've got this, and I do. It's the same thing. You put this thing in your head of, right, this drop's going to be horrible because I'm in such a good mood. So this drop is going to, and then all of a sudden it's that whole thing, isn't it? Of when the people say you make your own luck, in a way you kind of do. If you think negative thoughts, you're going to then think everyone is on the bad side of you and you're going to piss everyone off and blah, blah, blah. And then you'll never see that good thing of, something happening or something that could happen. And, and I'm not saying it's always that way, but there is these things, and you have to kind of, there is drops that you'll never even know was a drop, but then that keeps you back, and then all of a sudden you go back up again and it's fine, so it's peaks and troughs,
Yeah, it's the peaks and valleys. They're interesting.
Yeah.
Anxiety, and you start to anticipate them. It throws it all out of whack. You know what I mean? Like you're at the bottom anticipating the high, and then it doesn't come, and now you dropped even further, right? You know what I mean? That anticipation part of anxiety is so brutal.
Yeah.
And it's I think the hardest to control, at least for me, right? Of just like trying to not think about when and how something's gonna go wrong, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to prepare for it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how in my brain can I insulate and protect myself from
Yeah.
whatever it is that's gonna go wrong? Because something's gonna go wrong, and
Yeah.
if I can figure out just what it is, I can protect myself from it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I
Yeah.
never quite do because
Yeah.
you can't.
That
You can't do that.
is that you can't. And my missus is very similar. She does something, and she always she's like, oh, what if? What if this happened, or what if that happened, or what? And I'm like, and she does it obviously, especially with her mum, because of obviously what's happened to her mum. For the people that don't know, my mother-in-law, she fell, hit her head, had to have brain surgery. At one point, we thought we might have lost her, and we've had to move up to Scotland to kind of help, and we've been here for like two and a bit years now, and well, yeah, about 2 years. And so with her mum, she's always very much like, well, what if she has another accident, or what if she falls, or what if? And I was like, you can't think like that, because at the end of the day, if you think like that, you'll end up moving in with her and you'll live with her forever. And then you won't see me, you won't see your little, and you won't be able to work because you're then a full-time carer for your mum, or, and it is that whole thing of what if. And there are some things you can protect yourself against, you can, but there's so much you can't. And it's that you have to just live your life and do what you want to do.
I was just about to say that at some point you have to live your life,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm terrified all the time of like everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like recently, Zane got his motorcycle endorsement, right? And I encouraged him to do it, right? Because
Yeah.
I ride and I wanted him to ride with me.
Yeah.
And then those thoughts came in. I was like, oh God, what if Zane gets in an accident, like, and something like that's on me. I'm the one that encouraged him to do that. Like, and then I started spiraling from there. I was like, God, we can't do this. Like, you can't get your license. I'm sorry. Like, it's and I had to sit with that for. I never said any of this to him. Right.
Yeah.
This was all internal monologue in my own head.
Yep.
And I finally had to go and like breathe and be like, you know what, like. You are panicking. Like,
yeah.
this is a good thing. This is something for us to get out. This is for us to live our lives.
Yes.
And have a good time. And if I freak out and panic here, that's just one more thing to keep us in the house and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid.
Yep. Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Talking about Zane, just very quickly, I'm going to obviously try and get Zane back on the podcast at some point, but
of course, yeah.
Obviously at the moment, like, so for the people that don't obviously know Zane, obviously Zane's obviously his other half, and they stream, but he's been streaming very weird times, and I kind of reached out on the chat and was like, how are you doing? Like, what's, why are you streaming at really weird times? And it was times where I was either getting up in the morning, so it must have been like stupid o'clock in the morning or night, or whatever it was, and was like, you're all right. And yeah, so he's dealing with insomnia, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got really bad insomnia. He's had it for as long as I've known him. We've been started dating in 2012, so we've been together for a really long time.
Yeah.
And he's always struggled with it, and it it peaks and valleys like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And with all of the stuff that was happening with my health, I think that was when it was the worst, right? Was mid-April or so.
Yeah.
It was when he was streaming some of the weirdest hours in the last couple months. And that was right after I had gotten out of, I think, my last surgery for my kidney stone. And, he was taking me to the emergency room.
Yeah.
He was in and out of the hospital with me. There was, I was in the hospital for 4 days straight. At one point, they actually admitted me. And so it's been a lot of stress on him. And that just kind of sits in the form of insomnia. And, for him, he would rather be streaming, and hanging out with his friends and things like that than sitting with that stress. You know what I mean? It's that escapism. It's that distraction, right?
Yep.
And, here, my personal opinion, right, is that it hurts a little bit, at the same time, right? Because, we do know the studies of blue light and the effect on sleep and things like that. And so to be up gaming while also trying to get tired to fall asleep, it's a double-edged sword. But at the same time, if he's not tired enough to want to fall asleep, he's not going to just sit in the dark,
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And so what do you do, right? And so he's been streaming. And I think things are getting better. You know, he came to bed a little bit earlier last night than he has been the last couple nights.
yeah,
And things have started to settle down with my health and
yeah,
things like that, and a lot of the stressors that were going on, you know, like the stuff with my mom and things like that.
yeah. Of
And
course.
talking to my dad, you know, obviously stressed him out as well
Yeah,
because I'm stressed. And so, you know, we took care of a lot of stuff this weekend that I'm hoping is going to start to give him some relief as
yeah,
well. Um, it sucks because like I obviously I need to fall asleep. I'll get migraines and headaches if I don't go to
yeah,
sleep. And so,
yeah,
you know, I make it to like 2 o'clock and okay, you know, I've got to go to bed. I'm sorry,
yeah,
and I fall asleep. You know, then I sleep until like 9, 10 o'clock, and by the time I wake up, he's already up. And so I go to bed, he's awake. I wake up, he's awake.
yeah,
You know, it's kind of wild.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you know,
It's
I've been
yeah,
encouraging him to reach out and to talk to somebody, you know, like I have, and hope that it would help him in the same way
yeah,
that it has.
definitely. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's but again, it's always interesting. And we mentioned this before. Is when is if it's the right time for him? You know, it might not be the right time, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And but then obviously that then puts pressure, and this is this whole kind of vicious circle. Is it puts pressure onto you, which then kind of if you kind of start getting, you know, down from it, that will then bring him down because he's worried about you, and then you're worried about him, and that's, you know, it's very hard. And but
Well, and that goes both ways, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I said,
exactly,
you know,
yeah,
part of it, like that's why he's in the state that he's in, is because he has been the,
exactly,
you know, the stronger half of the progress bar, so to speak, or the whatever you want to call it, right? You know,
yeah,
people like to do percentages. You know, when I'm 30, he's 70. You know, that
yeah,
type of deal. You know, he has been holding up the better half, you know, for months now. And he's tired.
yeah,
And I empathize with that, and I'm trying to do what I can to
yeah,
help
of
him
course,
get some
100%.
stress relief and things like that, you know. But it's yeah, you're right, it's not easy.
No,
But that's what being in a relationship is, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like,
hundred
it's
percent.
just being there for each other when the other's not 100%. And to be honest with you, most of the time you're not at 100% at the same time,
Yeah,
right? That's just how
exactly.
humans work. And when you are, those are great days. Those are fantastic days. Those are
Yeah,
like, we went to the movie theater and had a fantastic date night. Like, those are fantastic days. I
yeah,
love those days. But you know, there's the days where you know, you need to help. You've got to step up and be there for that person, because they deserve it.
yeah,
You know what I
hundred
mean?
percent.
Like
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. I love him to the fucking moon and back, and he deserves every bit of that support that he's given me over the past 4 months. You know, ten
yeah,
years since we've been together. You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah. And
it's
that's exactly it. That's why relationships like that are so strong. And you know, as you say, you're the rock, and then also he's the rock. You know, and this is
yeah.
that's the best thing. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. That you know, you're not always going to be 100% together, and that's kind of how you kind of look after each other and being in a relationship. That's kind of, you know. But yeah, that's yes, yeah, exactly it. You know, exactly it. Um, Again, there's probably so much more we can carry on about, and we said this last time, and it's just awesome. So, but we will say our farewells from here. But we'll. I'm still really tempted, and again, let us know in the comments and all that kind of thing if you'd like to hear from both of these guys at the same time. Have you both on at once, which would be quite cool, maybe, you know. So we can maybe bring that in season 3, or even at the end of season 2, maybe, if you guys fancy doing it. But I think that could be quite a cool podcast.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a goobers.
um, any last things you want to kind of say and bring up?
No, just thank you to you, right, for doing what you do, and for reaching out and like showing everybody not alone, right? Collecting these stories from all around the world, from everybody, different backgrounds, different, you know, beliefs,
Yeah,
everything. I think it's really important. Very, very humbled, proud to be a part of it. So thank
I
you.
appreciate it. No, thank you, honestly. And this is, it does, it makes me you know, and it's the one of the reasons I wanted to do it is because I did feel alone, and I don't want people to feel alone. You know, even though I had, you know, and I do have my partner, you know, there's still always times that you do feel so alone, and you know, and this is again, I wanted to people to be able to tell their stories that people would go, oh my god, that relates to me so much, and that bit there, that is so me, and you know, that's what I want people to understand, you know. And again, it's why we have the numbers along the bottom of the screen. I know, again, UK based, but you know, we have the numbers here for the UK, and they're very easy, obviously, to find the helpline numbers in all over the world as well. There's loads of them. So, and again, make sure you use them, you know, and they don't judge. They're great at listening, and even if it's someone that you are worried about, you know, it's not even have to be you that's going through it. If you're worried about someone, call these numbers as well, and they'll give you advice of how to help your loved ones and your friends, you know. This has been awesome. It really has. I massively appreciate it. Like, really, really appreciate it. And yeah, so I appreciate it. So yeah, hold on, I'll come back and chat to you in a bit, but thank you very much for coming on again, and yeah, we'll speak to you soon. Guys, that was awesome. Like, so good. Yeah, it was so good to be able to speak to her again. It's been such a long time, and it's kind of really weird. Like, our schedules have totally kind of like separated from being able to play with like these guys. Like, both of them, you know, we used to kind of be able to play a few games here and there with them, but our schedules have all kind of mixed. So it's really nice to be able to just chat and, you know, and kind of just catch up, which is great. And it is really important. You know, you aren't alone, and yeah, just if you can reach out to people. It's brilliant. You know, talk to people, open up as much as you can. I know it's hard, but definitely it's definitely worth doing. Apart from that, I appreciate everyone, single person, everyone that listens to this, comments, likes, whatever. We're on YouTube and Spotify. But apart from that, obviously look after your mental health, and we'll see you next time.